Oh, welcome everybody to Let's Get Dumb.
No. I'm back, bitch.
You jumped in
Let's
quick.
fucking go. I wanted to. Did you want to drown in it?
Huh?
Did you want to drown in it? Welcome to Let's Get Dumb, the podcast where I, comedian Joe Kilgallon and comedian Jonah Jurkens, like to ask dumb questions, tell dumb stories, make dumb lists, and just have a dumb old time with you. Jonah, how the fuck are you?
You know what? It's not about me right now, Joe. It's about you. How the fuck are you? We haven't seen you in 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. It's been quite some time.
Yeah.
Daddy's tired.
Daddy is tired.
Well,
Can I call you daddy now?
You've always have, right? I'm not like a new
Not
dad.
publicly,
I have a
but-
third kid now, and we'll talk about that. I've
Yeah.
been on a little bit of a maternity leave.
Just beneath the sheets, I called you daddy.
I was not prepared for you to release that information to the world just yet.
I thought you just said I could, Dad.
But you know what I want to start with, man? I want to start with a little gratitude towards you and towards producer Austin for keeping the ship afloat. We had Claire Sunby on last week's
Yeah,
episode, I believe.
we tried, Jonah. We tried.
We tried.
No, you guys did a great job. And I want to thank a lot of, I think we've got a lot of new people coming our way because we're doing some really nice numbers on Instagram, some really nice numbers on YouTube. So thank you to everyone who's been watching our clips and sharing the clips and all that stuff and making comments. It really goes a long way to, we put it in work. We put
Really
in work.
building a community here.
Building a community, and we're having fun with it. We got big plans for, we're going to finish this year out strong. We got big plans for 2025. You and I were talking about someone in particular. We had one clip. It was a pro wrestling clip. But a few people took it wrong too. There was a few people where it's like they were wrestling fans, so they thought you were being like overly insulting.
Right.
But most of the wrestling fans were like, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and you're dead on.
Yeah, 100%.
We were talking about like ugliest fan bases.
Yeah, which we did
Or
set
ugliest
ourselves.
places to see the ugliest people. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it was ugly. Places where you see the ugliest people.
Yes.
Yeah. Which we mentioned it on our podcast that we're just setting ourselves up to be demolished.
Being called ugly.
Yes.
But we both are wrestling fans, so
Yeah.
I wanted the wrestling community to know, no, we're not coming down on you, but let's be a little honest here, and that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But we did talk about one person because you kept saying, although on the episode I corrected you because you were saying that you and your beautiful girlfriend Laura are just a normal couple. I think you guys are a very good looking couple. But you were saying it for the sake of like normal being like you could tell we know how to have conversations with people.
Yeah,
we're just
not introvert. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I am in my own way, but like a typical couple you see shopping at Target.
yes, there you go.
Yeah,
Right. So that's what you said. And one guy was like, oh, they're not even hot. And I commented, he didn't say they were hot. He said they were normal.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to give this guy credit because his response was, oh yeah, that's right.
yeah. It was so I got those updates, and that guy said that, and in my head I was just like, I said normal looking. I'm not sitting here being like, look how fucking hot we are, because obviously, that's in the eye of the beholder. I find my girlfriend to be very attractive, but that doesn't mean everybody else has to, or the same, whatever. Like Joe, I'd go down on you in a second, but that doesn't mean like that Austin would. You know what I mean? So my point is that we all wear it. I mean, that's a fact, right? Why do you think we do the camera from the waist up?
Yeah.
Because when I'm off camera, I'm dingling that thing. But it was fun seeing the updates, like, because, you get those updates on your phone, and you just know, like, oh, shit, this is the turn. And then when you're like, no, he actually said normal. And then there was a pause with enough time for him to go back to watch the clip. And then he was exactly what you said. He goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what made it nice because I didn't really come at him with hostility. I was just like, he just said normal.
Yeah.
And the dude, and this was what was refreshing because as we all know with today's culture, you correct someone, they take it personal.
Yeah.
And they make it seem like you
Yeah.
wronged them. And it's like, no, man, I'm just correcting you. It's not a big deal. We all make mistakes from time to time. And he handled that awesome.
Awesome.
Great. I wish I had my phone up so I could give that
Yeah.
direct user or whatever his Instagram handle is a shout out.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
then that was it.
Yeah.
Where so many times you see someone get corrected and they go, hey, but fuck you because they fucking meant this.
Yeah.
And then it was just it's a needless back and forth.
Right.
It was very refreshing.
It was nice. It was nice for you not to be mean and being like, listen, you're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, man, I think you misunderstood. And the guy goes, you know what? I did misunderstand.
Oh,
You know how many relationships I wish I had like that? If I could date this man, I think.
We're going to give a shout out to Nath618 was his name. Nath618.
See? That's
Yeah.
a fucking producer earning his paycheck right there. Nice job.
Nath. Nate?
Yeah.
Nath? Yeah, like Nathan. I
Any
guess
single
it's Nathan.
women listening or men, I don't know his orientation, but look up this man
I think
because
he's married. His bio says gang gang and it's a wedding ring.
Oh,
that kind of
cool.
changed my opinion on
Congrats
things.
to him. No, gang gang is a slogan from Theo Von's podcast, and I've opened for Theo a few times. Really good dude. So you know what? I'm not gonna take anything away from someone using his catchphrase.
Gang gang.
Theo Von bought me breakfast.
Oh,
There's a really cool picture of me, Chris Bader, who's one of Austin's bosses, I guess you'd say.
Friend of
Chris
the pod.
Friend of the podcast, been on the podcast. Me and him opened for Theo in like 2018 at the Laugh Factory. That was right on Theo's rise.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, because remember I told you that I brought him on stage that night, and I'd still, to this day, never seen anything like it. And I've opened for comedians who are kind of bigger, I guess you'd say, as far as like household names go. Then Theo. Well, Theo now is fucking, you know, massive, huge, you know. And but I remember at the Laugh Factory, there's no backstage. So he's coming walking up the side. And as I'm starting to do his credits, like, you know him from the Joe Rogan podcast, you know him from this, you know, as I'm like maybe on the second line of like a 3-line credit or maybe 4 lines of credits, the audience started to see him walking up the side.
Yeah.
And they just started going nuts.
Yeah.
To the point where it was like deafening.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm like, I'm bringing up a Beatle right now.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking surreal. So,
Yeah.
you know, good for him. But like I was saying, I wish more people had those kind of interactions.
Yeah.
Like I remember thinking like, if I was at a bar with this dude, we'd be having a beer right now.
Yeah.
Like that's refreshing. I want to see more of that from the internet community.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to summarize it by this. The word ignorant, if you call someone ignorant, I feel like people get like mad, right? They think, but the word ignorant just means you lack knowledge on a subject. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. To be ignorant about a subject is fine. I think we need to own up to our own ignorance. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because that was kind of the original goal of the podcast. Like, hey, let's get dumb. It's okay to be dumb.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our dumb
We're all
shit.
dumb.
We all have dumb experiences.
It's funny
we all
to
do
be dumb.
things. It is funny to be dumb.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
It's funny to be dumb, and it shows confidence to be honest about the times you are dumb,
Yes.
and it's okay.
Humility. We need more humility.
Is a strength.
Is a strength, and we need more of it.
You know who doesn't have that? Nirvana fans. Nirvana fans. We had a little clip about us shitting on fan bases, and I shit on Nirvana fans, and people didn't take that well, and I got decimated in the comments. Fair enough. I have no problem getting decimated in comments, but
I got decimated too.
you did.
I got decimated pretty hard
Yeah,
too.
that was a fun one. That was a fun
That
ride.
was a fun one, and I didn't handle it well at first. I wanted to take the fucking clip down, which would have been stupid. So I'm glad you guys were the cooler heads there. It was funny to me because I learned Alice in Chains fans come out in full force.
Hey, yeah, they were.
And that was a band I used to stick up for. Nobody. If you're an Alice in Chains fan listening, you're probably someone who hated grunge because Alice in Chains was the more metal sounding of that era. So that was like the band where all the 80s metal heads were like, fine, this will be the one we like.
Yeah.
But nobody until within the last 5 years would have ever put Alice in Chains as high as people are putting them now.
Yeah.
Something must have happened. They must have had some viral clips or something shifted because I don't remember anybody from 1997 when I started getting into that music because I wasn't really old enough to like it when it was happening live to fucking 2017 ever being like, Alice in Chains, let's carry this flag. But I got crushed. And the one thing I do want to stick up for with that, because I was watching, someone commented on it the other day. The only reason I asked you to name 5 songs was because there are times I hear people say they hate a band and they don't know any of their songs.
Yeah, it's fair enough. That works. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But people forget you weren't really coming down on the music so much as you were coming down on the fans.
Yeah.
For being,
And that was in, people were getting mad at me for that.
yeah.
And then I just was like, you're kind of proving my point here.
Yeah. People lost the plot.
Hey, buds here. You're kind of proving my point.
And I'm almost wondering if it was towards you, or if it was towards people being like, yeah, that band sucks, they're overrated.
I think it was a little both. I was a little, I mean, let's be honest, I was being a little harsh. So there's a truth in there, but a little comedic effect. But my favorite thing is because you shit on me about the Spice Girls, and you mentioned Spice Girls. All of a sudden, all these Spice heads came out.
Good Lord.
And started saying they are a good band. They actually wrote their own music, and they started. And then there was like this little civil war that was happening.
Yeah.
Between everything in our comments.
The Spice Girls kind of wrote their own music. First of all, there was 5 of them, but all of their songs will say written by the 5 of them, and then there's like 2 or 3 other writers.
Yeah,
so
like
we need
ghostwriters.
8 writers per song.
Yeah.
My point was like Kurt Cobain was a classic singer-songwriter per se, and that's who I consider the real songwriters. And I'm not saying collaboration's bad. I mean, John Lennon and Paul McCartney collaborated in the early years of the Beatles. It's not like a bad thing, but like you wouldn't consider Beyonce, who's a tremendous artist. I like a lot of Beyonce songs, but you wouldn't consider her a songwriter the same way you would consider like
Taylor Swift.
I guess I don't know how many writers get credit, but like, you know what I mean? Every Beyonce song will say written by Beyonce and like 9 other people.
Okay.
So it's not the same as like a Noel Gallagher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something. I'm trying to think of like who's considered the big modern singer-songwriter of the times
Taylor
today.
Swift.
Is Taylor Swift the big one now?
Yeah, she's the biggest right now. Yeah.
Well, she's the biggest artist in the world. and
She writes
biggest-
her own songs.
Does she?
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yo,
good for her.
Like notoriously.
Did you ever post the Soundgarden clip?
No.
There's
Did
a
you-
clip
did you
I
make a
edited for
Soundgarden
you
clip?
where it's you absolutely tarnishing the Soundgarden fan group, and it's fantastic.
All right,
And I
I'll
think
look
you
through
mentioned
that.
Allison Chains in that also.
We gotta
But you
release that.
definitely dig into
There's some clips
Soundgarden.
that we're going to go back to. There was a stretch there right after that where I didn't want to. I was worried that people thought we were going to be one of those podcasts that's
rage
rage
baits.
bait.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I think I got a little bit like, fuck.
I did.
You know, I didn't want to lean too hard into that.
Yeah, but this
especially,
Soundgarden thing was a real opinion you have, though. So it's not rage bait. It's your real. It was your real feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a classic Joe rant, but it was about Soundgarden.
I like a lot of Soundgarden.
And I felt my feelings. And you know what? Also, what is great, you know, it might feel rage baity, but it is nice to see that people like stick up for the things that they believe in. And it's okay. And it's kind of fun to be kind of mean. And like I said, like, you know, wars are fun.
Wars are fun.
Wars are fun.
I like that little segue there.
Mhm.
We are doing, to tease you guys, we're going to do top 5 war movies in honor of Veterans Day being this past Monday. But first, I know
you
Jonah
gotta-
wanted to ask and wanted me to talk about it a little bit because
You got a new little soldier in your
I do.
platoon.
I do. And it's a, modern army because women can serve too, everybody. Don't be sexist pigs. Yes, I've been on
what year
hiatus
do you
from
think?
this
What year
podcast.
do you think it is? When do you think that? Do you think that they just started letting women in?
Pretty recently, right? It's been pretty recent. No, I'm fucking around, of course.
I think you're talking about Saudi Arabia.
Are
by
we
the
not
way,
in Saudi Arabia?
Are we
right now?
not going that bad?
Yeah.
I just lost all the listeners that I gave Theo Von credit for. No, but so I've been on hiatus from this podcast for a while now.
Yeah.
And
4 weeks, maybe?
you guys did 4 episodes without me, I think. And it's because on October 15th,
Mhm.
in the wee hours, it was 6:47 in the morning. She was her official birth minute she was born. I have a daughter.
Yeah.
I know I have a daughter. So I have 2. Thank you very much. As long
Inverted Hog Squad.
Reverse Hawk Squad.
Reverse Hog
I
Squad.
have. If you're a first-time listener,
little
go back
hoglet.
to find out what the Hog Squad references.
We got a little hoglet.
Aw.
So,
Aw.
yeah, I have 2 sons, and now I have a daughter, 7-year-old, 5-year-old, and she's 4 weeks old right now.
Did you ever think you'd have a daughter?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't. Well, I mean, maybe when I was younger, I might have, but a lot of people might know, I thought I was done having kids.
Right.
Of course, happy she's here. Of course,
course.
she's beautiful and she's the sweetest little thing. And
Can I ask you a question?
That's great.
If you honestly thought she was ugly, would you say it?
I probably
do you have,
never
like-
would.
Do you think you have?
that,
Do you think you have dad blindness, parent blindness?
Well, for babies, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a hard question to answer. 'cause
Have you ever
she's
seen
4
like a
weeks
friend?
old,
Yeah,
dude.
but you ever seen like a friend's kid and they're like, "Oh, my beautiful whatever," and you're like,
Dude, I had a friend I had a friend whose kid I didn't think was particularly good looking,
Uh-huh.
and I remember being around them and they were talking about someone I didn't know having an ugly kid. I remember thinking, you
You
curb
should
that.
probably, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I will say this: I'm proud of this because
They should have like a hot or not, but for babies.
you're such a fucking dork. I love you, but no. But
I could see where that would go wrong.
you think? Jesus Christ. In the era of Epstein and Diddy, I think we should stay the fuck away from that.
Yeah, but they're gone now.
So someone needs to.
So-
well, is Diddy dead yet?
No, but I mean, like, you know, they're-
Yet was the right word, Joe.
Yeah.
Very
that train's coming into the station.
Don't worry, he'll get his pardon soon, and so will Vince.
there's no fucking way. He'll get murdered before that.
Most likely, right? But
Who do you- okay,
Can we
so-
not talk about my baby and then fucking Diddy in the same
Oh, sorry,
fucking
sorry.
little paragraph
Sorry, I
here?
wanted
What's
to
your
ask you a
baby's
question.
name?
Yeah,
Stay
yeah,
with
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Joe, what's your baby's name?
I don't even want to say because
Yeah, we don't have to
fucking
say it.
this guy might make it weird. Her name is Emma.
Nice.
Yes, beautiful name.
And you did the route where you did old school. You had no idea if it was gonna
No
be
idea if it was boy or girl. We've done that with all 3 of our children.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the boy name picked out? Did you have that? We had to have.
Well, I could tell now because I had a vasectomy, so I'm never having another kid again. Nolan.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is we have a great friend named Nolan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he would have gotten a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nolan was going to be the boy name. I don't think we had the middle name figured though for that. We were kind of going back and forth on that.
How do you feel about having
I
like the
knocked that
most
out.
the stereotypical nuclear family, where it's like old boy, middle boy, then the young daughter? Like, are you worried about that in the future, like middle child stuff or anything? Or
A little bit
oh,
because my Now middle child. I always thought this kid would be a terrible middle
Oh
child.
no.
I say that with love. He's great. He's so funny though.
What makes you say that? Not the funny, but like, why did they be a terrible middle?
Just because of his energy.
Really?
He's a wild one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are certain kids where you're just like, I don't know if that kid would be a good middle.
Because where are you? 'Cause
I'm
you have a lot of
second of
siblings.
4.
Okay.
So I was
you're
middle,
kinda
first. I'm kind of middle.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm a great middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're fucking
So-
horrible everything.
Thanks. buddy.
Oh.
Other
yeah.
than friend
So nice.
And lover.
and lover.
What I was going to say about the whole cuteness with babies, though, there are some parents who will post the baby picture of the baby being like 8 minutes old, and it's like, ew,
Yeah.
clean the fucking kid off.
Yeah, I was a pretty ugly kid. Baby.
The kid's-
Adorable kid. Very ugly baby.
Ugly baby.
For sure.
Really?
I think so. There's pictures of me when I was a baby. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah,
what
when
are
you're
doing?
a
post our baby
14.6
pictures.
ounce
You want to?
baby, Jesus.
Let's post our baby pictures
Excuse
on
me?
Instagram.
When you're a 14-pound, 6-ounce baby, yeah, it's probably not gonna look good.
You were fucking 14 pounds?
You think that Austin would know that?
I don't know. He said it
Why
with
would he know
confidence.
that? I will say he said it so confidently, and looking at his screen, I was like, did you just look that up?
Yeah,
Was I 14 pounds?
No.
I
How
was
would he
like a
look
normal.
that up?
Well, I don't know. He fucking found out shit about my family before when he was trying to find something. This guy's a psychopath.
That's a little different, though. That situation.
That's a little
we don't
Were
different.
you
need
a
to talk
fat baby
about.
though?
No, I was a skinny kid until middle school, and I got fat for a little bit
okay,
because I love my
okay.
peanut butter cups, and then I got skinny, and now I'm this size,
Okay.
whatever this size is.
stocky. No, I'm not fucking
A little
no.
stocky.
No, you're beefy.
Gorgeous.
You're
Did
fucking
I ever tell you?
beefcake.
Did I ever tell you about how I found out that I was a fatter middle schooler?
No, how?
Because my mom did a garage sale, and she put up all my old jeans, and she put it under husky size.
Oh.
Yeah. So it all said husky, and I was like, husky, and I'm like, oh, what? And then I had a girlfriend's friend once say, oh yeah, your boyfriend's cute, he's kind of husky, and I was like, it just all came back to me, and I was like, do you fucking know what that means? And then she was like, no, like you're like, you know, like you work out, like you're sturdy. Like I'm like, these are all words you shouldn't be saying. What are you doing? Stop doing this. And then I had to like Google. I had
got a
to
strong
Google.
base.
I had to Google husky men, and then man, if you have your whatever turned off, like you get some interesting photos when you Google husky men. And I had some weird targeted ads for a while.
What would you describe my body type as?
Otter.
Otter?
Otter,
Yeah, you'd be an
I
otter.
think
If
you
you're
would
gay,
be
you'd be an otter.
Okay, I've never heard the term otter before, so I need that explained. to me
You're a
before.
little hairy, but like
I'll
muscular.
look it up specifically.
Yeah.
I'm surprisingly hairy, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. You're like it's like a more like skinny, hotter bear.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is gang slang. Otter refers to a man who is lean and hairy, but not as hairy as a bear or as boyish as a twink. So
Yes.
you're the middle kid of a
Yeah,
twink
you're
and a
like
bear.
you're like stereotypical otter.
But husky is not a gay term, so I was
No,
looking
husky,
for the.
yeah, that's
a
a Gap
version of
clothing store
that.
thing. Yeah.
I mean, you're just like normal.
It's a normal dude.
Yeah, you're a
I'll
normal
take
guy.
that.
You're not too muscular. You're not too skinny. You're not too fat. You're not too thin.
Not too tall.
You're not too. No, you're
Well,
tall.
I'm tall,
You're
but
tall.
like I'm not like.
Yeah, but you're not 6'7".
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're like that's like it's a great height.
Thank
you know,
you.
not like it's kind of freaky height.
I always wanted to be 6'5".
I always want to be 6'2".
I wanted to be a little taller than my dad.
I always thought I was gonna be
but I'm
6'2".
shorter than him.
Yeah.
6'1". 6'1" is a good height though.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I got my weight down to like 188 right now.
Okay.
I want to be at 185.
Yeah.
So just a few more pounds. Now I'm thinking maybe go 180 and try to get some of that 6-pack back.
You think
But
so?
what the fuck do I need it for?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got down to 200 now. I'm trying to get down to 190. Why are we talking about this? But yeah.
The people want to know.
Yeah.
All right.
We,
yeah. So
we
anyway,
posted a clip of when we first started, and I was like, dude, Daddy got a little chunky there for a little bit, but lost 15 pounds since then, so that's good.
no, man, you're looking lean. I like you. You're looking husky light.
It's hard to stay lean when you
Diet
drink as
husky.
much as I do. It's the hardest thing. Because you wake up from a blackout and you're like, fuck, I ordered Taco Bell. You know? Like, you're like, shit, I ate all that too.
That's really what it does. I've had people tell me that the beer belly thing is really not true. It's not
It's the
the
eating.
beer, although it's got a lot of carbs. It's what you eat. It's,
Mhm.
it's the
It's both.
French toast at 1 a.m.
Right.
That's really what gets you. All right, so let's lean into our list here. Anyway, long story short, I'm ecstatic to have a daughter. She's beautiful. Things are going.
Are you, so can
I need her to sleep a little bit better, but
Yeah.
that's to be expected when they're 4 weeks old. They just don't,
I'll never, I plan on not having kids, so I'm kind of really interested in this, and we don't have to get too this if it gets too personal, but like every kid, you're like, oh, I'm a much better, like these are the things I've learned to help me raise this better, or are you like, I'm more nervous I keep screwing up, like not that I keep screwing up, but like I keep making the same.
Great point. No, I think you do learn as a parent. With your first kid though, it's your first kid. So I remember just you have like a little bit of a nervousness to you. I remember the day my son was born, and they're like fucking 7, 8 hours old. The kid's sleeping in this little bassinet thing. We're in the hospital still, and I got no sleep those first 2 days because I was like hovering over him, like just like, is he not breathing? What's like, you're just so like, I have to protect this child. So by the third kid, you kind of know like, I need to sleep now because I'm never going to get a chance to sleep again.
Yeah.
You're sleeping. I'm sleeping. I'm not like,
I know you're fine.
I'm not glued.
I've been here before.
Yeah. I know you're okay. And if anything goes wrong, we're in a hospital. This is the best place for anything to go wrong.
Yeah.
So you're a little bit more relaxed with your approach. That's why a lot of times the youngest kid ends up being super crazy because parents are just so exhausted at a certain point they don't pay as much attention, or they end up being great because the parents just kind of learn as you go. I think I'm at the point where I finished anger management that long ago. I feel like a better person since then. I'm doing a lot of things better health wise. I'd been in therapy for a while, so I think I've grown a lot as a person. So naturally, as you get better as a person, you're gonna be better in other aspects of things. So yeah, in a sense, I think I will be a better parent. I don't think I was a bad parent to them otherwise, but I think
not saying you were, but
but
what I mean.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's definitely little things to learn from. You know what I mean? Like both of my sons, I love them to death, but they're not great eaters. My older son's getting a little bit better, but they're picky. They're just picky eaters.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to try to figure out ways to not make her a picky eater like them.
Were you a picky eater?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, me
that
too.
might just be genetic though.
I think
too.
it's just
kid
do.
shit. You know what I mean? But if I could figure that out, I'm going to try my best to figure that out. Now I'm not. I'll fucking eat anything.
Yeah. Do the
That
kids
sounded
all get their own room, or are you?
No, the
bunking
two
them?
boys are sharing a room, but they love it.
They do.
They fucking love it.
Okay.
Yeah, they're hilarious. Over the weekend, they were like, "Can we sleep on the floor?" And I'm like, "Fucking why?
Yeah.
You got these two great beds we bought.
Yeah.
I mean, sleep in the bed.
Yeah.
But
Hate
they
that shit.
put all their blankets and pillows on the floor.
You
and
can
I slept
sleep
on
under the
floor.
bed, but just have the bed involved somehow.
They don't have it under the bed. There's drawers that come out.
Oh,
of
nice.
Those beds.
Nice.
Smart for storage.
Also, nothing scary underneath there, and then.
No.
Yeah.
Just toys.
Yeah. Do you? This is also just I've always wanted to ask somebody this, and I don't think I've ever asked a parent this. Like, do you have that overwhelming sense of like, I love you so much when you like the first time you saw your kids? Like, do you get? Because some, not saying you don't if you don't feel that way, but like it feels like a myth to me since I don't know the experience and I don't have sisters or brothers that have had kids. The idea of like, once you pick on this, you're just like, I will do anything for you. Like,
yeah.
I'll fucking kill anything for you.
You do. You get that. And from the dad's point of view, so like the woman's growing this child. So they have a different attachment. They get like whatever because it's happening to their body, But with a guy, as soon as you hold the baby, they're just so little.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm holding this 6 pound, 10 ounce little baby girl who... They're just, I remember looking at her ears being like, this is the smallest ears I've ever seen in my life. They're just so fucking tiny. And you're holding them and you just know that they have this sense because of DNA or whatever, or, fucking evolution of just being like, like they lean into you and they feel a little bit like whatever. And you're holding them and you're just like, yeah, you're mine. You're part of me. So like, I will do whatever I have to protect you. And make sure you're happy and healthy or the best I can and all that kind of shit. Yeah, you do. This weird instinct does kick in.
Really?
Yeah, it's something that I never want to be one of those. I've never been a parent that encourages other people to have kids. There are a lot of people on the internet. There's this new rise of being like more people, the birth rates are slowing down and that's terrible. I don't give a fuck if the birth rate in any country is slowing down. I don't really give a shit. People want to have less kids, fucking fine.
Yeah.
Less competition for my kids, whatever. It's weird because, Austin, I never really answered your question about me representing the nuclear family. I don't consider myself a traditionalist in a lot of ways, but yet here I am, insanely traditional setup, right? But whatever. But like my point is that it was something that it's hard to believe until you're in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to describe that. And I could see people who aren't in it thinking that parents are being douchey about it. Because we always say, no, you don't know love until you have a child. I would be, if I was childless, I'd be kind of offended by that a little bit because it feels like you're saying that I don't understand love. It's just a different kind of love.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Like and protective.
And if you don't have it, it can't be explained.
Do you feel powerful though?
Powerful?
Yeah, I feel like if I'm holding this thing, I could be like, I could just fucking kill you if I wanted to right now. Like I could. Like you're so tiny.
Well, that's just how I feel
I
when
could
I'm
just
around.
squeeze a little too hard.
You know, when
Like
I'm around
look
anybody.
how powerful I am.
That's just me. I'm 6'1", 190 pounds of romping, stomping dynamite. I feel that way when I walk down any street. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I'm the shadowy figure that people cross the street
Right.
to get away from.
Yeah, but what if someone's 6'3"?
I don't give a fuck, man.
Uh-huh.
I know I woke up crazier than they did.
Yeah.
It's just how that goes.
Yeah.
You
This
know,
one-
we've talked about
but,
this.
like, with a
I'm
little-
the one who knocks.
With a baby, you could be like, I could kill you while I made a grilled cheese sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's how powerful I am. That's how much you need me right now.
Yeah.
You know?
You've got some fucking issues, man.
I'm just saying. I just like I feel like
Yeah.
you got to feel a little powerful there.
Yeah. That did not ever run across my brain.
Like, yeah.
You were never meeting my children, by the way.
I haven't yet.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe
What's your thoughts
pick
on
up
this?
on that fucking cue.
Let's finish. Yeah, I know. But let's finish. We can stop on this question. Sorry that I keep pushing it, but
I know you keep saying shit where I'm
'Cause I
just
do-
like, how
'cause
do
I do
fucking-
like-
I can't yes and you when it talks about when you're talking about spiking babies.
I didn't say kill your kids. I just
Okay.
say does it make you feel powerful? Is my point, right? I'm not saying Joe, you can just kill a kid whenever you want. I guess I am kind of saying that.
You're veering. You got to be careful with what you're veering into, my friend.
Why?
I just feel like you're veering into like, I don't know, man.
So,
Like,
but here's my
do I
transition.
have to worry about women around you too? What else am I
No,
going
I'm a sweet boy. I love everybody.
Okay.
I can never kill anything. Jesus
But
Christ.
I just talked about killing a baby while making her grow cheese.
But Joe's so powerful is my point.
When you hold your girlfriend's hand, you ever just think I could just crush every bone in her hand right now if I wanted to? Do you think
You're telling me that you don't think that?
No. When I
don't
hold
really
your
think
girlfriend's
that.
hand, I do not think that.
You better not fucking think that when you hold my girlfriend's hand. When you hold my girlfriend's hand, you better think I'm gonna make sweet, sweet love to this beautiful woman.
I'm like, someone's got to satisfy this woman.
What's your thoughts on? Okay, so final question. What's your thoughts on people that equate having a pet like a cat to having a kid? Bullshit, right? Even as a man who doesn't have kids and never will, that doesn't want to, I still think that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It is pretty
When they're
dumb.
just like they're not gonna be a good parent. They're not good with their cats, or like, oh no, the fact that if you equate being good with their cats as being a good parent.
Yeah, I used to do a joke about that before I had
did you?
kids.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
it was on my first album.
Okay.
I believe. I think the joke's called Puppy vs. Baby. And I talk about like, of course I'm going to love the dog the same. Why does that change? Like you still love your dog, you still love your
Right.
cat and everything, but it does change. You know what I mean? If my dog dies, look, that'll be sad. And I know she's going to eventually, she's getting up there. I'm going to be devastated for a while. I'll always be sad thinking of her. It's not going to be the same if a child
Yeah, you can't
passes
just put
away.
like an extra dish of food out if you want to go out for 2 days.
Exactly.
For
You
the kid.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when my dog was a puppy, we'd put her in a little cage and leave for 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
Not 4 or 5 hours, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can't leave a baby alone. You can. There's just certain things, and it is different. It's just
Yeah.
different. You know what I mean? Like when people say dogs are family and cats are, yes, they are. I
of
do
course.
know pets are family. I will
Yeah.
never deny that. You had 2 cats that you love to death.
Love to death.
And you don't want to replace because
Yeah.
you have such, but it's different when it's a fucking.
Yeah, there's been times when I was on like a 2-day vacation. I knew I had enough food and water out for them. I knew they were fine. I had somebody like checking in on them like just once. But then I was just like, oh, they have enough food for 2 more days. And then I just stayed up for 2 more days and they're perfectly fine. I knew they would be fine. They obviously missed me a shit ton, but like you can't just
Yeah.
do that.
It's
with a
yeah,
kid.
it's incredibly different. And the people who do that, it's like, just find another way to get attention. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're just making yourself look like an asshole.
Uh-huh.
Right? There's just, no, it's the same. It's not the fucking same.
Mhm.
All right. Stop it. You're making yourself look like a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good question though. I like that question.
It's kind of like a war of people's thoughts.
I love the segues you're fucking pushing tonight, my man. They're the best. So yeah, in honor of Veterans Day, we decided to do top 5 war movies, right? Makes sense. Happy Veterans Day to anyone out there who served, who's a veteran.
But before we do the top 5, before we name the top 5, was this a hard thing for you? So we're doing top 5 war movies. Like
This
I
is
said.
tough because it's
This
a
is
good genre, and there's been a lot of war movies, and it's not just American war movies. Obviously, there's
Right.
tons of war movies out there, and I think I have 3 American and 2, European, I guess you'd say.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, but there's a few that just stuck out so quickly. So coming up with my 4 and 5 were a little bit tough, but I'm gonna do. Austin, you want us to do it where I'm just gonna name my 5 in a row, or do we go back and forth?
Yeah,
We're gonna
just do back and forth. Like you're 5, then Jonah's 5, then you're 4, then
Yeah.
Jonah's 4.
Right.
So we're gonna do ours back and forth. Then we're gonna get into why we chose
You can
these.
do like a little comment or a little.
Yeah, of course,
something.
yeah. So we're showing you how the sausage is
for
made
the
right now.
gram, people, for the gram.
For the gram.
For the gram.
All
Also,
right.
we'll talk criteria. Do you have any questions, Jonah?
I do. So I tried to get a little weird about my list because when you think of top war movies, I think everybody thinks of the same 5, right? Or same 10, I would say. I had 18 I listed here as some of my favorites that I had to cut down. Yeah,
I
and
had 12 that I listed.
yeah, and I tried to put some of them. I tried to put some of them that aren't what you would at first consider a war movie, but ultimately they are actually a war movie.
And you have 5, Jonah?
I have more than 5, but I have my
You
top
got
5.
your 5. though.
One I want to
Okay.
edit out. I think you're going to be proud of me due to the last couple podcasts. One I was going to edit out because I think it could be argued as not a war movie, but I think that there's enough war elements in it that it could be considered a war movie.
I have a genius idea I'm going to throw out there right now. I was thinking about this over the last few weeks during my hiatus of we should be starting a Patreon soon. And anyone who subscribes to my Patreon currently, you will get immediate access to the Let's Get Dumb Patreon. I'm almost thinking I should just change my Patreon to Let's Get Dumb and then send people that way. That's something I could talk about with you guys if you're okay with that. But anyhow, when we make lists, because often we do these top 5 lists, you end up having like 40.
Yeah.
That'd be good Patreon material to hear the rest of your stuff and your
Yeah.
thought process behind that. Because obviously we don't want to do a 2-hour podcast right now with this. But no, that's something that'd be a good thing for bonus
Was
content.
there what were the
Austin's agreeing.
main criteria for you?
So
when you
I
thought of
tried
this
to
list?
just go with instinct with this one.
Okay, me
I
too.
wasn't trying to go, because other things we do, there's criteria for.
Yeah.
We all know how with breakfast food, you're like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was fun. But with me, I just had to be a movie because there are some movies that are war movies technically, because it's.
Is a sports movie a war movie?
No.
Okay.
Jonah.
No.
I don't have a sports movie here. I just wondered. That just popped in my head.
No, you know what a sports movie is?
Like Little Giants is kind of a war
A
movie.
fucking sports movie. Yeah.
Little Giants is kind of a war movie though.
It's not. Because what the play is called, The Annexation of Puerto Rico?
No, because yes, but no, because it is kind of like a war of Rick Moranis versus the coach.
It'd be a sibling rivalry
Yeah,
movie.
the movie Bully
Or a
is
sports
kind of a
movie.
war movie.
It's a fucked up movie.
It is a fucked
It's
no,
not,
different
no.
Bully.
War has got to be like wars in combat, conflict,
Yeah.
nations fighting each other, stuff like that, right?
I mean, War of the Roses is kind of a war movie, even though it's just between a couple. The way that it's presented.
I have a 1-sentence like definition of what a war movie is.
Let's hear
It's
it.
great. It says a war film is a film genre concerned with warfare about naval, air, or land battles with combat scenes central to the drama.
Yeah, see, combat scenes had to be a big part
Like
of it to me.
warfare.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And one of the movies I put in there, because like some movies just have war as the setting, but you don't really see a lot of combat.
Yeah.
So the one I chose, I was 50-50 on whether I put it in.
Don't put it
and
in
then
yet.
I thought, I'm not saying it yet.
Okay.
But then I look back on it, I'm like, there's enough battle, there's enough like action for me to count it as a war movie.
Yeah.
Because there has to be a level of action.
So can I say one that is one of my favorites that isn't on my top 5, but I was like, okay, there's no war in it, but it is war adjacent, and there
Okay.
is kind of a war going on in the movie, but doesn't go to his criteria. It's Crimson Tide. Crimson Tide is an
Oh.
incredible submarine movie.
But it's during World War II, right?
No, there's no war yet, but what could happen in this movie would start a war. There's a break of war, but it's happening outside of the movie.
Like a real
in the
war?
movie outside of the events that's happening, but then there is basically like a coup, civil war type thing going on inside the submarine. That was the one where I'm like, I love this movie. I don't know if I consider it a war movie, but it is so about war.
Yeah, that one's.
There's a lot of war
No,
ideas.
I agree. I'm glad you didn't put that in
Yeah.
because now that you say it, I could think of another example. There's a movie called 13 Days with Kevin.
Yeah.
Have you
Yes.
seen that one? It's
Yeah.
all about them going into the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yes.
There's
Would
no
you
action.
consider
in
that?
it. There's a little action. There's one scene where the plane gets shot up
Yeah.
a little bit.
I also don't know if it's like during a real war and it's like actually retelling a World War II event, like an espionage event that necessarily isn't.
Good point.
But if it's like some guy infiltrating the Nazi party, I'm like, yeah, that's a war movie
Mhm.
because
There
it's
was-
World War II.
You just forget how many fucking war movies
There's
are
a
there.
million. So that's why I'm like,
There's so many
yeah,
like subgenres of these.
yeah.
Well, there's a movie called The Catcher is a Spy with Paul Rudd. And it's based off a true story.
Yeah, you
where
know about
there
that
was a
movie?
major
Wow.
league catcher who was like a backup catcher. It wasn't very good, but there was this thing where they sent these Major League Baseball All-Stars over to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
which is because Japan, even before World War II, Japan was really into baseball. and it was just like a thing. And they had all the greatest baseball players at the time. And this dude, his name was like Mo Berg, I think. And they sent him over, and everyone's like, why the fuck was he part of it? And then later they found out he was part of the CIA because he spoke like 7 languages and was this insanely smart guy. And then he became instrumental with World War II, where they sent him over to Germany to like be a spy.
Good movie.
Called The Catcher's a Spy. You know, I don't think it was that good. I remember watching it late at night because I'm like, oh, I wanted to see this. I remember seeing the trailer, getting excited about it. And then I watched it and I was just kind of like, I was losing interest. I think it was just a little slow paced. But Paul Rudd's acting was pretty solid in it. It's a good story, but the movie didn't execute.
I would just say like, so my emphasis on my list was top 5 war movies that wouldn't be in a conventional top 5.
Okay.
Just so you know.
All right. Well, let's just do the list.
Aces.
What do you mean?
I was just laughing at like, how do you want to say this?
Oh, that's.
I was also laughing that both of you guys were like, okay, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
Well, we're just saying, we're saying cool.
yeah.
All right. Here is number 5. We're doing all right. Top 5 war movies, everybody. I'm coming in number 5 with Saving Private Ryan. Some people would think that'd be higher on the list, but the acting's great. Obviously, it was an epic movie when it came out. Star-studded cast, good action. That's my number 5.
Great movie, loved it. For your number 5, my number 5, one of my favorites, Edge of Tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a war. If you don't think that's a war movie, there's something wrong with you. That is that's a war, aliens versus people, whole world comes together, war movie.
Cool. Well, I thought it would have been sci-fi movie, but that's fine.
It is a sci-fi, but it's a sci-fi war.
It's fine. Number 4, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, a movie that a lot of people might not know about. It was one of Cillian Murphy's first starring roles. Talks about it takes place in the Irish War of Independence. It's a really classic flick.
Great movie. I always wanted to see it.
Read your number 4.
Number 4.
Christ, dude. We're trying to do a back and forth, and then we're going to talk about it.
Okay, fine. My number 4, Aliens.
Number 3 for me, I've got Braveheart. Even though it is maybe the most historically inaccurate movie of all time, it's still a great story. The battle scenes are fucking epic.
My number 3, Army of Darkness.
Hell yeah, dude.
Great fucking movie. Had to kind of go old school like you just did, Braveheart.
Bruce Campbell. Man's a fucking legend. My number 2, I have Full Metal Jacket.
Great movie.
Stanley Kubrick's directing. It's classic. It was like one of the first times that dude did like that eyebrow stare. You know what I mean? Vincent D'Onofrio, I think his name is. D'Onofrio. Fucking killer.
My number 2, Black Hawk Down. Great movie. I think it's underrated. I think the people that watch it always love it. Great ensemble cast. Josh Hartnett, hot as shit.
Fucking heartthrob.
Yeah. Jeremy Piven, love him.
My number 1, I'm going Platoon. Oliver Stone's Vietnam epic. The cast is unbelievable. The story's great. It made Charlie Sheen a star, I feel like. You got Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger, and my guy John C. McGinley from Scrubs fame. It's just, that movie's great.
Incredible movie. My number 1, Glorious Bastards.
Great movie.
Oh, good Jonah.
Call.
Very good.
Yeah.
Fucking just the tension. It's shot well. I mean, the first scene's incredible. All the scenes in there are just so good. I like that it took kind of like some creative liberties, but
And anything when you kill Nazis is always going to be the best.
I know. That's why I almost had Overlord on mine.
Oh,
which is a great Nazis are monsters and kill them.
I don't know Overlord very well though. But all right, so here's why I have Saving Private Ryan at my number 5.
Hey, before we do that, why don't we do like runner-ups? What was some of your runner-ups?
that's good.
Just mention them.
I only have one runner-up. I didn't make a huge list. My one runner-up is a movie called The Longest Day. It came out in the early 60s. It stars John Wayne, Henry Fonda, a young Sean Connery. It's for that time, it was one of the biggest ensemble casts ever. It talks about the invasion of Normandy in World War II, and it's all black and white, but like it's just an epic movie, and like the story is incredible because it's based off a true story. The acting's great, and it just really makes you appreciate the fucking bravery of that war. Because World War II is really the last war America was involved in that was worth being involved in. So yeah, it's just that was tough not to put in my top 5.
Yeah,
it really was.
I'm surprised, and I don't know why I'm blanking on the name right now, but none of us said which Francis Ford Coppola's movie.
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. That's weird that nobody had that in there.
I never
I think
saw
it's
it.
weird you didn't have Saving Private Ryan. I thought that was going to be the overall.
I had it. I knew that Joe would say it, so that's why it wasn't in mine. It was on my list. I had Saving Private Ryan on there. I also had 1917, which I think is an incredible film. It's very good. I had World War Z, which was like a fun little zombie one. I thought it was good.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I think is our one of the best 2 movie wars? Avengers, the last 2.
Infinity War.
I guess so.
Those are great.
Yeah.
The movie 300.
Yeah, that's
300 I would count way more than Infinity War.
Yeah,
That's a
100%.
war movie.
That's a real war. Yeah, 300 was the real
I-
war, though.
we
Even though it's a
should-
fake
you know
story.
what?
This isn't about historical accuracy. This is about a war.
I know you're not wrong. It is a war, but it's like,
Three Kings was on here. That was a good movie.
oh yeah.
I love that movie.
I like that Austin, I think, is on the same team as me, where we're
he's
both
not
kind of
wrong.
like,
Aliens is a war movie also. Like I get that.
Aliens is a war
also.
movie,
Like
yeah.
I get that, but it is kind of like Army of Darkness is a war movie because Lord of the Rings would also be a war movie. 'Cause
right.
it's a
Lord of the
giant
Rings,
war.
also like Gangs of New York I have on here.
I should, Gangs of New York I would count. I should have sent in the text messaging earlier that they should be with some historical connection.
Right. That's
You know
why I
what I
said, that's why I did wanted to do top 5 that aren't in the typical top 5s. Because I think you and I would have,
Yeah, that's fine.
you and I wouldn't have been very,
No Star
not
Wars.
actually not really. You went a lot.
I did
you,
stuff that happened, like real historic events.
You also went a little deeper than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, in it also. And I have Top Gun on here.
What? That's not a war movie.
It's in the air. War in the
No,
air.
they're not, what are they fighting?
Hmm?
What's the war they're in?
That's the whole point. They don't really know who you're fighting. But I didn't fucking say it out loud. And I have Last Samurai. Did I say Last Samurai?
Oh, I had that one written down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your? What was? Let's go to Austin's. Before we debate our top 5. What was your?
Oh, I just had like I had Doctor Strangelove, I had the old Stanley Cooper.
Uh huh.
Glorious Bastards, War for the Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit, Born on the 4th of July,
Hey,
All
Jojo.
Quiet on the Western Front, Hacksaw Ridge, Last Samurai, First Blood,
Yes.
Bridge over River Kwai,
Yeah.
and Saving Private Ryan, of course.
I
Yeah,
also
no,
had,
that's a great list. I like your list.
Thank
which
you.
also one of my favorite movies, Casualties of War. I have on here too. It's a very good movie. Michael J. Fox, Brian De Palma directed it with Sean Penn, and it's just like it's a fucked up Vietnam movie. It's very good. Also, I wanted to do Good Morning Vietnam, but
You could do like a
that's
whole
not-
top 5 Vietnam movies.
Yeah, there's
could.
so many.
You really-
Vietnam
there's so
movies.
many.
So many.
so many good ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why this was hard. I mean, it was really really hard.
A lot of them are pretty great.
Let's hear Saving Private Ryan. At
All
number
right,
5.
so
That's
the reason
low.
I brought Saving Private Ryan at number 5. I mean, you can make an argument it could be higher on the list, but it's all personal taste at this point. Great fucking movie. The cast is incredible. The idea behind it, like, hey, we don't want this poor mother to lose another kid, so let's go fucking find this guy. And yet these soldiers are like, this is fucking bullshit. We're risking our lives to save one fucking dude. You know what I mean? And when they meet him and he's all like, I don't want to leave my platoon. They're like, get the fuck with us, you piece of shit. They're like, fuck you, Matt Damon. All right? You don't get to fucking hang out here anymore. We went through hell and back. Let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like, it's shot incredibly well. It's Spielberg at his best. There's just a lot to love about that movie. And it's just anyone else in the Tom Hanks role doesn't work. Tom
You don't
Hanks.
think so?
I just think Tom Hanks did such a great job. I know some people try to call him an overrated actor here and there, and maybe his range isn't as like expansive as like a Daniel Day-Lewis or something.
Apparently,
like
you haven't
that.
seen Here yet.
Apparently not. But like the
Or
way
Stay.
the way he captures being like, I'm the fucking leader and you will respect me,
Uh-huh.
but also has like a, I don't know, like what sort
He's
I'm
still a
looking for.
literature teacher. Or
Yeah,
whatever
he
is.
still
Yeah.
has
Gives
that like
speech. Yeah.
thing where it's like, you'll respect me, but I'm not a mean dickhead. You
Yeah,
know
I
what
have to
mean?
teach. I teach like high schoolers.
I'm here because I
books.
have to be here.
Yeah.
I want us to win this war, but like, I'm not some fucking meathead.
Yeah.
And this is the mission. This is the mission. The line where it's like, if Saving Private Ryan brings me back home to my wife, then that's the mission.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And when he laid that on the line for the rest of his crew, then they were all like, all right, let's fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you had to have that, a little bit of tenderness, which Tom Hanks pulls off well,
Yeah.
like being a leader, but also having like that, he's Cowboy Woody, right? Like, he could do
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. I think the movie's incredible. I think it's also like what a great ensemble cast on there too, especially like emerging talent. For instance, Vin
Yeah.
Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
Fuck
gets
yeah.
Blown
Vin Diesel.
apart, dude.
Oh, dude, that scene when he's dying and he's like, I got this letter. It's to my dad. That's
That's why I'm gonna go on a limb here. And if you think Vin Diesel, I understand why people think he's a shitty actor now, but man, his early works, he's pretty good, man. I mean, like Vin Diesel's so good in that movie. I mean, Spielberg saw him he did this short called Multifacial, and Spielberg saw it and was like, I need to put this guy in a film. He's just captivating. He's a good it was a good actor. Boiler Room, he's incredible in. He's great in. He's also like nobody could pull off a movie like Pitch Black like he can with the Riddick role. He's great, and he's incredible in that movie.
That opening scene's great. The Saving Private Ryan Normandy scene.
Yeah, I know it's
Oh,
cliche to
it's
talk
amazing.
about
Maybe the
it.
best scene in the whole list that was mentioned here.
You know the best part about that scene too is when they redid it in Medal of Honor. In the video game Medal of Honor, you can do D-Day, and it was just like it felt like you were in the movie. It was, which made it seem like you were actually in the war, but like, ultimately, but man,
Could you imagine people in Afghanistan fighting, and they're like, "Man, this is like Saving Private Ryan."
Yeah,
it's like, well, it's like
right.
you're in war, idiot.
Yeah.
It is crazy that people like the World War II veterans. Sadly, they're all pretty much gone now. But imagine being one right at the time.
Was your grandfather one?
Yeah. Imagine, well, he got fortunate where he was just of the right age where he served, but I think when they were like on their way out there, the war ended. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, he was just of the right age. He was like the war ended in 1945. He would have been 20 years old.
Yeah, my
And
grandfather.
He was an officer. He was a Judge Advocate General, which is the JAG Corps.
Oh, cool.
And he was, yeah. I actually posted a thing on my Instagram stories about my grandfather today.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
A little.
Yeah, my grandfather flew in the war, and he was a bombardier, kind of like Memphis Belle. Got shot down in enemy territory, like behind enemy lines with what the fuck's his name? Gene Hackman's in that movie, and Owen Wilson is also in that movie. Great movie. And had to make his way to Allied forces and got a Purple Heart.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
You don't
Grandpa.
hear stories from your grandpa. You're just like, God damn, I'll never be as fucking cool as you.
Just a different time, man.
He gave me all his medals, and he collected swords. He gave me all the swords. So of course he just played swords with them, which is so stupid because they're real. And I think I think there was a while where I lost his Purple Heart, not knowing how important it was that he gave me his Purple Heart, which is
Oh wow.
I have it. Luckily I have it now, but
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Thank God.
so insane. Yeah. And the fact he's a pilot. So my number 5 was Edge of Tomorrow. I know.
We talked about the most serious shit.
The
World War II,
transition on
now we're
that
doing
is-
Tom Cruise versus aliens.
Amazing. But yeah, have you seen Edge of Tomorrow?
No.
Live, Die, Repeat.
Live, Die, Repeat.
It's really good. This one's actually war because
This is
It's
war.
actually like British infantry, Navy.
Mhm.
Like it's like real war, but it's just aliens.
So this
But
is
it's
like
he's a
aliens come
general.
down. Yeah, aliens come down and basically like the whole world has to go against these aliens. And they all kind of come down to this huge fight that's going to happen. Something happens and Tom Cruise gets caught, and then all of a sudden he repeats the same day over and over again. But it's great because he is, like what you're saying with Tom Cruise, where he was just like a teacher or whatever. This guy is just like he was like a salesman that became PR.
So Tom Cruise is the guy who like is the Uncle Sam of the army, where he dresses in the uniform and he goes on CNN and be like, "We need people to enlist."
Right.
He's like the marketing manager of the military.
Yeah.
But then they're like, "Yo, we're really low on troops. You're being drafted," and he goes, "No."
Yeah.
But then they capture him and make him do it.
Yeah,
he's
and
in a
then he
time
thinks
loop.
he's going to be like in the background. He's like, no, he's like infantry. So he's like right up front, and then he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and he's scared, and he's like whatever. But then he gets killed, and then because this thing happens, he just keeps repeating that same day. So he just keeps getting better and better and better and better, and trying to figure out how do we actually?
It's like Groundhog Day if it was a war movie.
Yeah,
it's running
yeah.
as a war movie, but there is no. Ultimately, obviously there's an end to the movie, but it's just like, how do I do it? And you see him become this like incredible. As a war movie, it is actually. I know it's stupid to think of that it's a war movie, but it is like
There's a lot of war elements because it is real war.
It's real
stuff,
war,
but
and
it's just
they
aliens.
they get you right in the thick of it, and it's an intense watch.
That's awesome. My number 4 is Braveheart. And the thing is, if I didn't learn about how historically inaccurate this movie is, it would probably be higher on my list.
Freedom.
That part actually was real. But this is literally one of the most historically inaccurate movies of all time, to the point where it's laughable. So William Wallace was a real person, of course. And there's the scene where like William Wallace bangs the queen of she's the princess at the time, but she's going to eventually be the queen of England, who was a real historical figure. But at the time those two people lived at the same time, she would have been 3 years old. So I would love to ask Mel Gibson and the screenwriter, a guy named Randall Wallace. Randall Wallace was a screenwriter, wrote a couple other things, and he came across a famous Wallace, and he did some research about William Wallace, and that's why he wrote the movie. But I want to know, why'd you make that fucking choice? I know in the movie she's an adult, but in real life, she'd have been a 3-year-old. That's a strange. So that is why I couldn't, because I love that movie.
Everybody did.
And before I found this out, it probably would have been my number 1.
Really?
There's so much to like about it. There's good humor to it. The action is incredible, and it's just this great story of a guy fighting for freedom. It won all the Oscars that year, and Mel Gibson's direction's great, but the historical inaccuracies are a little bit like, what the fuck? Because in real life, the guy Robert the Bruce, who like kind of turns on him, he was the guy that was the nickname Braveheart in real life.
Right.
The story with that, and I learned this when I was in Scotland last year, when I went on the Edinburgh Castle tour, was his heart they put in a box, and they had more battles, and they brought the heart out with his battle, and the whole thing was that even in death, he's still fighting for Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah, so like he was the one that was really nicknamed Braveheart.
Yeah.
So I just don't know why they changed that all around. There's still enough of a great story there that's like, I mean, I know it's a movie and you're going to take liberties, and every one of these movies we've mentioned is going to have some parts of it that aren't true to history because it's a movie. It's supposed to be entertaining. But they just went, too many liberties was taken with Braveheart. So that's why it's my number 4.
Yeah, I'm surprised that neither of us did. And I was a little concerned that it wasn't a war movie, but there are war elements the more we talk about it. I'm surprised nobody had Gladiator.
That's a great one.
I know.
That's a great fucking
I'm surprised
movie.
my Gladiator. And I also thought about putting Patriot in, which is... It's
Braveheart
good,
White.
but it's not. It's brave. It's just Braveheart.
It just came out
It's just
right
Braveheart
after
in the
each other.
U.S.
Yeah, it's pretty much it.
Yeah, but man, Gladiators, especially with Gladiator 2 coming out, which I almost kind of want to make my number 4 Gladiator now. My number 4, Aliens, which I know it's a little, looking at this list is a little too like Edge of Tomorrow, but Aliens to me is just a straight up war film. Like have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes to even the movies I haven't seen because I just realized you guys are just going to go over the plot, and that's probably not fun for the listeners who've already seen the fucking movie.
I think with Edge of Tomorrow we had to because not a lot of people have seen that movie.
That didn't do well because people were confused on what the name of the movie was.
It was the marketing of it was so stupid.
That was with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt.
Yes.
And
Okay. The hottest Emily Blunt's ever looked, by the way.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah,
She
she's
looks
attractive.
gorgeous
Really good
in that
job.
movie. Yeah. But Aliens, I think it's just like it's just a straight up just gritty war film, like expertly shot. Like just I know producer Austin doesn't like it as much as I do, but it is like, to me, it's my favorite Alien movie.
I got to give it a revisit. I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's
Yeah,
just
that's what I
like
have
I
to
remember
do, too.
Sigourney Weaver being great.
we just rewatched it and I was like, I forgot this is just fucking a straight up like that scene in the beginning of Saving Private Ryan. They basically have that when they get into the. It's just an incredible movie.
Fuck yeah. I love a movie that grabs you right away.
Mm-hmm.
My number 3, The Wind That Shakes the Barley. It's the beginning scenes too. I mean, obviously I'm an American of Irish descent, so I kind of gravitate towards a lot of these movies, especially that era of Irish history that was very impactful on my family. I saw this movie maybe a few years after it came out because I saw Cillian Murphy in this Irish comedy called Intermission that him and Colin Farrell co-star in. And so I was just like, this dude's a great actor. And then he was Scarecrow in Batman Begins.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I got to watch whatever else he's in. And then I came across The One That Shakes the Barley. And there are some scenes in it where you're just like, fuck. And so then it shows you a lot of the guerrilla warfare that they had to use. Because that's the thing too about what's going on modernly, not to get into too many things that are going on right now, but in history, the smaller army always gets called terrorists because they have to do fucking shit that the bigger army goes, well, that's not, well, motherfuckers, there's 8 million of you and a few 100,000 of us. So yeah, we're going to fucking sneak up on you and do some damage. But that movie grabs you in the beginning, which just shows you the injustice because Irish people weren't allowed to speak their own language.
Mm-hmm.
They were beating this guy because he wouldn't speak English to them because he didn't fucking know English.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking Irish was outlawed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so right away you're like, all right, it's easy to see who we're rooting for in this fucking flick. You know what I mean? And that's not to look, I got some English friends, but you guys got to own up your own fucking history a little bit and own up to the fact that was some shitty fucking things you guys were doing back then.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Fucking admit it. I'm American. We did some shitty stuff too. Fucking admit it. And that's how we could all move on.
Is this why you like the rap movie so much?
Well, I like the movie Kneecap so
Yeah.
much.
Because that's their thing. They do that in. It's Gaelic or right? It's not Irish. It's Gaelic, right?
Well, they call itIrish now.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Gaelic, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Did that movie make you love Kneecap so much?
no,
they
I
actually
liked
fuck
that
it, we're
group
doing it?
before the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, the movie came out in August, and I'd been listening to their music for like the last year and a half or so. I
Oh,
tried to
interesting.
see them
I
at the
didn't know
Beat
that.
Kitchen when they were in town in 2023, but then I got to see
Oh.
them at Concord
Yeah, I know.
like a month or 6
Not
weeks.
too long
Everybody, I
ago.
talked about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, there's just fucking good music. But yeah, I like a lot of that shit. I fucking always like rebel stuff. You know what I mean? All right, what's your next one?
My next one, because I thought I wanted to go a little medieval times. So Army of Darkness, which
Dude,
is
Bruce Campbell's so fucking dope.
he's so dope, and it's just like it's fun. It's fun to have a little. I also was thinking on Tropic Thunder. I'm surprised we didn't do that one.
I had that one written down too, but I didn't include it.
Yeah, I just think of that as a comedy.
I don't think because it's not.
I know it's
so
war. I thought about
war.
Stripes for a second.
I did too, but it's just not a good war movie.
It's a good comedy.
It's a good comedy.
There are some things like my thoughts on Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I think Die Hard's maybe the greatest action movie of all time, but it's not a great Christmas movie.
Right.
So if you're out there and being like, no, it is a Christmas movie, fine. I'll admit it. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Not a great one though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I was gonna do 300 because I think 300 is just incredible. I also like when that movie came out. You and I were at that age where you're just like, I want to fucking look like that. So you learn their workouts, you did everything, and then they're like, oh, it's CGI abs. I'm like, fuck, I didn't know that. And it's just great. But then I was like, just Army of Darkness is a better movie though. Like it's just a better. Army of Darkness kept popping in my head when I was trying to find these like kind of medieval movies because there's a lot of them that are great. Like Kingdom of Heaven is really good. I mean, Gladiator was in there too, but just
Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur. That's the thing. We didn't go old school too much. You did more than I did.
Yeah,
I'm surprised we didn't go MASH.
I think I wanted to go more mainstream. Oh, MASH is so fucking good.
Yeah,
But yeah,
or even like Hogan's Heroes. Like I'm surprised we didn't.
that's a
do.
sitcom. Is it a movie too?
There's a
Well,
no, I'm
MASH was a
thinking-
movie that they turned into a TV series.
Right, the Hogan's Heroes. I'm thinking of the whatever movie. I'm surprised we didn't do Dirty Dozen, or even Bridge over River Kwai, which he loves.
Or Doctor Strangelove.
Yeah, or Doctor Strangelove.
That was like the war movie that's not action.
Or even like All
the
Quiet's
one-
on the Western Front. I'm surprised we didn't go that
Oh
route.
god, I said that one, the new one from
Paths
last
of
year or
Glory.
whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought like movies.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then there was even a couple of westerns that popped in my head, but I'm like, that's a western. That's its
Yeah.
own
Sure,
category.
yeah.
Or like
when you
Hamburger
mentioned
Hill. I'm surprised we
Infinity
didn't
War.
go.
That's a comic book movie. I kind of wanted to separate
Okay.
and try to be, tied to history. But I'm glad I tied it to history. You didn't so much, which is great because now we're giving the listeners a whole.
So when we build our 5, that's kind of my point.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So Army of Darkness, number 3, and also Bruce Campbell, yes, King, and then like the fights with I mean, it's just such a good movie.
Good humor to it too.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2 is Full Metal Jacket, and the reason being is like, God, that movie that was the first movie that introduced the actor's name, which was R. Lee Emery. He has that quintessential military voice. He served in the United States military. He's the drill sergeant, where they have to be like, yes, drill sergeant. He's that guy, and he's like, where are you from, soldier? He's like, Texas. Texas. The only thing in Texas is steers and queers. Like, he's saying like all that aggressive
Yeah.
shit.
That guy's
And
a
then it's
real-
like, how tall are you, soldier? 5'5". 5'5". I didn't know they stacked shit that high. Like he was just like showing you that side of stuff. And then they,
And he's a real drill guy.
Yes, he was. Like I was watching Toy Story recently, and he's the voice of the army guys.
Oh, and he pops up. He pops up as a ghost version of that in The Frighteners, which is a
Yeah.
great movie with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, no, he's fucking a great actor, and he's just perfect in all the war movies they put him in. But yeah, and it was, Matthew Modine's in it. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
Kubrick's direction's always really cool. Yeah, and it just showed a different. I like. It's almost 2 movies rolled into one, because the first half is just him going through
Basic training.
camp, basic training, and showing the harshness of that and the hazing and how fucked up psychologically.
Yeah.
And then there's a breaking point for these people psychologically. So yeah, it really captures something. I don't know. It's just a really cool watch.
It's like a mesmerizing movie,
Mm-hmm.
which is. But I always think of it just with the boot camp aspect. I always forget about the war.
Yeah,
part of
that's
it.
what I mean. It's almost like
Yeah.
2 movies.
Yeah. Which it is an incredible movie. Mine is more, I think, popcorn version. Black Hawk Down. Love Black Hawk Down so much. Dude, it's just like, you get ambushed and you got to like survive the night, which is great, like suspenseful, great movie. It's Ridley Scott. You can't go fucking wrong with Ridley Scott.
I love any movie where it's like
Right?
survive.
Oh yeah, fuck off.
That's the thing. You have to survive.
You have to
like
survive.
Any movie like that, it's just such a great plot, and you're fucking.
And they're
in it.
all like kids in it too, which is great. Hot kids.
My
Josh
number
Hartnett's
one.
in it.
My number 1 is Platoon. I remember watching it. I think we saw it like freshman year of high school or something like that. I never saw it before. It showed the 2 sides of the type of people who would have been drafted, and that was the thing too. Like Vietnam affected this country in so many fucking ways. It's easy to say too now in retrospect, it was a war we should not have been involved in. It's not even a bold take these days. 58,000 Americans died in it. Charlie Sheen's acting was so great in the sense that he really kind of is boyish.
Well, Tom Berenger.
And Tom Berenger plays that fucking hard ass. You see that side of it, right? Kind of the more like militant, far right wing type guy. And then Willem Dafoe's is more like the peace guy, but they're both badass soldiers. They both showed them as like that scene where Willem Dafoe is just picking people off as he's running through the jungle, And yeah, it shows different philosophies and how people could get swept up in one side, and it shows the ugliness of fucking war. The fucking score is incredible. The music they play fucking brings about like a holy fuck. I can't believe they went through all that shit. And how fucking terrifying that must have been. You're fucking an 18-year-old kid. And it shows like when Charlie Sheen's doing the narration and he's talking about like, that guy's from this part of the country. He's this type of person. And that guy's from here. Like, you know, and it's just, yeah, it's fucking great.
Great movie. I'm surprised we didn't do like a straight up comedy. I thought about this is making me think that I wanted to do Hot Shots Part 2. Just because Charlie Sheen's in that, and then he passes his dad, like in that is a Vietnam like Platoon.
Yeah, Martin Sheen.
Yeah, Platoon. What's the movie again?
What?
Black
Apocalypse Now.
No,
What's that?
What?
The Martin Sheen movie.
With a war movie?
Yeah,
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now,
Now,
yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Like Apocalypse Now, where they both kind of like it's like it's his movie and their movie, and their
Yeah.
narration goes over, and they pass each other, and then they're like, "I love doing Wall Street," like
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
I
like
thought
great.
about that too. I mean, because we're a comedy podcast, obviously, but I just kind of thought like, war movies. Let's fucking pay a little respect, I guess. But yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah, what's the best comedy war movie? I think Hot Shots Part 2.
Tropic Thunder is pretty epic.
Tropic Thunder is pretty epic.
Tropic Thunder.
That got,
That's the best
that got
movie.
Oscar
Stripes.
nominations, dude.
Yeah, that's the best movie that's a comedy. What's the funniest?
In the Army Now, Pauly Shore.
I was gonna put that on my list. I was literally gonna put that on my list. There's good ones. You know, it's actually surprisingly it was also funny but fucked up is Jarhead. I'm surprised we didn't have Jarhead on here. And Three Kings,
There's
which
just
I
too
mentioned
many
before.
war
Three
movies.
Kings is a good flick.
It's a very good flick. Okay, so my number one, Inglourious Bastards,
Oh god.
which is just, I mean, classic. I think it's
Delicious.
Quentin's best. It's Quentin at his best. It's just
Jewish revenge movies are cool too. you
oh
know?
yeah. I mean, it's just a perfect movie. Like
Yeah.
there's not much more I can say than that.
I mean, it introduced the world. I think that was one of Michael Fassbender's first big roles.
Yeah.
And he's an incredible actor. And fuck, I mean,
Well, I also
Pitt.
introduced us to Christoph Waltz, where you're
Yeah.
that first scene where you're like, who is this actor? Like this is mesmerizing and terrifying all at the same time.
And the dude from The
The
Office
three-
is in it too.
Yeah, Ed Helm or BJ Novak.
BJ
Yeah,
Novak.
BJ Novak's
he's the
in it.
one
I mean, Brad Pitt's-
bastard that lives at the end with Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad Pitt's so good in it, so fucking good in it, and even like Eli Roth is good in it.
Oh, he's good. That was supposed to
Is
be Adam
Joubert-
Sandler, and I'm still sad about that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That like he wrote it for Adam, and Adam was gonna do it. Then I think it was Grown Ups that took him
Uh,
away from it.
of course it is.
I'm like,
But
that's amazing.
just a great. That's a movie that like I always forget how great it is until somebody brings it up. I'm like, oh fuck, that
I got to
movie's
give
so
it a
good.
rewatch. It's been a minute, and I remember loving it when I saw it. But yeah, that movie, I just like, it's such a great spin to show the side of like, all right, these are fucking Nazis. We all know is like, you know, we know the major players in World War II, but the idea of like, let's be as ruthless as these motherfuckers have
Mhm.
been. You know what I mean? I love that shit.
I also like that there's a story though about a Nazi just trying to get with a girl, and like it's not anything. He doesn't seem like a bad guy, but since he's a Nazi, she doesn't like him. Like they also show that side of like, well, some of these Nazis were just trying to live a life.
Well, yeah, to go back to World War II, I mean, yeah, obviously during World War II, Germany was the enemy. They're the villain. But not all Germans were that. And that's the thing that we have to, you know, to get serious for a second. That's the thing we kind of remind ourselves a little bit with everything in war. Like, you know, when people say like, oh, America's done some fucked up shit. I'm like, yeah, our government did. And for everything, there's Americans who are against the actions of the government, right? And I'm sure there were not all the English people were like, yeah, let's go over to that island next to us and be fucking cunts,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know what I mean? And that's the scene in Saving Private Ryan when the American soldier and the one German soldier were both too afraid to shoot each other. That's a good scene. I like that they showed that because, like, in war, there was going to be that too.
Yeah.
Because that guy's like, I don't fucking know you.
Yeah.
There's this great clip that went viral. And again, I know we're being a little more serious on this podcast. It was an American soldier who was a Navy SEAL. And he was talking about killing someone in Iraq and how it fucked him up. And it was like, yeah, people will say, well, it was kill or be killed. And it was a good thing you killed him because he reached for a gun. But it's like, why'd that guy reach for his gun? Oh, maybe because I broke into his living room in the middle of the fucking night. My other buddy just shot his friend. That guy, if we would have met in any other circumstances, we might have been buddies, right? But because we grew up on opposite sides of the world at a fucked up time, I shouldn't have been sent over there. It was like the way and this was a fucking veteran. He was a Navy SEAL. This guy's a badass. Nobody could question his fucking like loyalty to country. But he made a great point where it's like, yeah, I don't want to fuck like. looking back on it, that was a fucked up thing. So to show that scene in Saving Private Ryan, damn, Saving Private Ryan should have been higher.
Yeah.
Fucking,
I'm telling you.
Well, let's do this. I think let's do quick top 5. I think the top.
No, we're done. What do you mean?
No, I think we should put them together. I think no matter what of the two,
Oh,
I think of the
marrying
two
a
that
top
I think of the two that we have. I think no matter what, I think the top 3 should be Platoon and Glorious Bastards and Saving Private Ryan.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then we could round it out with Braveheart and Full Metal Jacket. Or do you want to put in your Tomorrow War, one of your funnier fun movies?
I would honestly, I would fight out of the ones that I picked. I know that they're very weird, but I would probably do. What were the 2 that you just said? You said Braveheart and what?
Full Metal Jacket.
I think it should be Full Metal Jacket and then Aliens. Is what I think. 4 and 5.
All right. It's tough for me with Aliens because I just think of it as a sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
You
but it's a
know,
war
there's-
movie though.
Yeah.
Put it at 5.
That's why I said put it at 5.
All right, we'll put it
Put
5.
Aliens at
yeah,
5.
put
Yeah.
it 5.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. If you have any war movies we missed, feel free to message us. Instagram, we check our messages there. So feel free to hit us up there if there's anything we fucked up. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell your friends about the podcast. Like I said before, we're going to finish out 2024 strong, and 2025 is going to be a massive, massive year for Let's Get Dumb. We can't thank all of you enough. On behalf of Austin and Jonah, I want to thank you both for fucking keeping the ship going and putting out some great episodes. I listened to 2 of the 4 and really was laughing out loud at some of the stuff.
Can
to the
I
point
say
where I'm
something?
like, wow, these guys are actually funny.
I'm going to say this, and I mean this. I'm so happy you're back.
Hey.
Oh, thank
No,
you.
I had a good time with
No,
Austin.
I'm happy to be back. Fuck yeah. All right, that's been the podcast. That's been Let's Get Dumb. Cheers.
Cheers.